China just unveiled 3 spacecraft that directly challenged SpaceX Dragon's dominance. The Mengzhou carries 7 astronauts and reuses its heat shield. The Haolong shuttle lands on a runway like an airplane and brings cargo home. The Qingzhou uses AI voice commands and tracks inventory automatically. What took SpaceX over a decade to perfect, China built simultaneously in just 3 years. Here's the real question. Why is NASA suddenly nervous about their timeline to the moon? Welcome back to Space Update 24 Hours. Let's dive right in. When Shenzhou 20 got hit by space debris earlier this month, every space agency watched closely. 3 Chinese astronauts were stuck in orbit with a damaged spacecraft. SpaceX engineers probably thought they had the answer. Send up a Dragon capsule for rescue, just like they did for Boeing's Starliner crew. But China didn't call for help. They didn't need to. Because what happened next revealed a space program that's been working in complete silence on something far bigger. The China Manned Space Agency dropped the announcement casually. Mengzhou 1 launches in 2026. But here's what they didn't say in the press release. This isn't just another crew capsule. The Mengzhou stretches 29 feet long and weighs 21,600 kilograms. It carries 7 astronauts compared to Dragon's 4. The crew module returns to Earth while the service module burns up. Standard stuff. Except for one detail that changes everything. The heat shield detaches and gets reused. Dragon lands in the ocean and needs weeks of refurbishment. Mengzhou lands, they swap the heat shield, and it's ready for the next mission. SpaceX spent 15 years perfecting rapid reusability for Falcon 9 boosters. China just applied that same principle to the most critical part of a spacecraft, the part that keeps astronauts alive during re-entry. How much does that cut cost? The agency won't say exact numbers, but industry analysts estimate it could slash per-flight expenses by 40%. The July 17th pad abort test proved the escape system works flawlessly. 4 main motors yanked the capsule away from a dummy service module in under 2 seconds. 8 smaller nozzles controlled the flight path. After 20 seconds, the capsule separated, deployed drogue chutes, then main parachutes. The landing airbags inflated perfectly. Every single system functioned exactly as designed. An in-flight abort test is scheduled for later this year, the real proof that astronauts can survive a rocket failure at maximum aerodynamic pressure. This is where China's strategy gets interesting. While NASA and SpaceX focused all resources on perfecting one spacecraft design, China split their engineering teams into 3 parallel programs. Each tackles a different problem. Mengzhou handles crew transport. But what about cargo? That's where the other 2 come in. October 29, 2024. The China Manned Space Agency announced 2 winners for their low-cost cargo competition. The first one sounds like science fiction. The Chengdu Aircraft Design Institute, the same team that builds Chinese fighter jets, designed a miniature space shuttle. The Haolong measures 33 feet long with a 26-foot wingspan. It launches vertically on a commercial rocket. It docks with Tiangong Station. Then it lands horizontally on a runway like a regular airplane. Compare that to Dragon. Every Dragon capsule splashes down in the ocean, saltwater exposure, parachute damage, months of refurbishment before the next flight. Haolong rolls off the runway, gets serviced like an aircraft, and launches again in weeks. The payload bay doors open so astronauts can unload cargo directly in orbit. And here's the part that keeps NASA engineers up at night. Haolong brings cargo home safely. Right now, Shenzhou capsules return to Earth packed with 3 astronauts and maybe 50 kilograms of cargo stuffed into whatever bags they can carry. That's it. Haolong changes that completely. Science experiments that need careful handling. Equipment that can't survive a parachute landing. Biological samples. All of it comes home intact. The chief designer, Fong Yuanpeng, said the design phase is complete and cargo missions start soon. Translation: this isn't a concept. It's hardware being built right now. The second cargo winner showed up at China's Space Day in April 2025, a full-scale model of the Qingzhou spacecraft. While Haolong focuses on reusability, Qingzhou focuses on intelligence. The engineering team studied every major cargo vehicle, Dragon, ATV, HTV, Tianzhu, then built something completely different. Most cargo spacecraft use two modules. Qingzhou uses one integrated capsule. They shrunk the propulsion section and expanded cargo space to 27 cubic meters. It hauls 2 tons of supplies. But here's where it gets wild. High-definition cameras cover the interior. Visual algorithms automatically track when an astronaut removes an item from the shelves. The inventory updates itself in real time. No manual logging, no clipboard checklists. Need to find something? Just ask. The voice-activated search system connects to the cargo database. An astronaut says, "Where's the spectrometer calibration kit?" And the AI points them to the exact compartment. The 4-tier shelving system has 40 compartments plus dedicated spots for special cargo. The cold chain system holds 300 liters of temperature-sensitive items, fresh produce, medical supplies, biological samples. Each refrigerated container stores 60 liters, and the temperature zones adjust independently. Qingzhou doesn't just deliver cargo and leave. It operates science payloads in orbit. Before re-entry, it deploys small satellites. It works with multiple launch vehicles for mission flexibility. The first flight happens later this year on the Lijian 2 rocket, a reusable kerosene launcher developed by CAS Space. They co-designed the spacecraft and rocket as a single integrated system. That level of coordination? That's not normal for a first-generation vehicle. 3 spacecraft, 3 different approaches, all launching within 24 months. This isn't random. China looked at every problem SpaceX solved with Dragon and asked, what if we solved all of them simultaneously with specialized vehicles instead of one multi-purpose design? Crew transport? Mengzhou carries more people with reusable heat shields. Cargo delivery? Qingzhou uses AI for efficiency. Cargo return? How long lands on a runway? SpaceX built one amazing spacecraft that does everything adequately. China built 3 spacecraft that each excel at specific tasks. The question isn't which approach is better, it's which approach scales faster for lunar missions and deep space exploration. While everyone focuses on rockets and spacecraft, China's pouring resources into experimental technologies that could reshape space operations. Quantum communication satellites that create unhackable data links, missions launched in 2016, Jinan 1 in 2022, a third one coming in 2025. The long-term plan? A quantum encrypted internet constellation in low Earth orbit. The 3-body computing constellation launched its first dozen satellites in 2025. The goal, 3,000 satellites by 2030, operating as a distributed supercomputer in space. Space offers constant sunlight and natural cooling. The challenge? Radiation destroys conventional computer chips. China's betting they can engineer radiation-hardened processors that maintain performance. If it works, they'd have computational power in orbit that ground facilities can't match. Space-based solar power. Orbital collectors that beam energy to Earth. The ground test system called Chasing Sun already proved the concept works. The orbital project? They're calling it 3 Gorges Dam in space. Nuclear thermal propulsion for deep space missions. Early prototypes suggest round-trip Mars missions could drop from years to months. China's not trying to catch up to SpaceX anymore. They're building parallel infrastructure with different design philosophies. When Mengzhou, Haolong, and Qingzhou all become operational, China will have more cargo return capability than the United States. They'll have AI-managed logistics in orbit, while NASA astronauts still manually log inventory. They'll have runway landing spacecraft while America's still fishing capsules out of the ocean. The debris strike on Shenzhou 20? That was just the catalyst that made China reveal what they'd already been building. The real race isn't happening in press releases or Twitter announcements. It's happening in design bureaus and test facilities where engineering teams are working on problems most people don't even know exist yet. So here's what actually happened. While the world watched SpaceX Perfect Dragon over 15 years, China quietly assigned 3 different engineering teams to solve 3 different problems. No waiting for one design to succeed before starting the next. No sequential development, just parallel programs running simultaneously until all 3 reach flight-ready status within months of each other. Mengzhou launching in 2026. Haolong's design phase already complete. Qingzhou flying later this year. That's not a coincidence. That's a coordinated strategy that nobody saw coming because everyone assumed China would copy the SpaceX playbook. They didn't. They wrote their own. The Shenzhou 20 debris strike, it didn't expose a weakness. It exposed how far ahead China's backup systems already were. By 2027, they'll operate 7-person crew missions, runway landing cargo shuttles, and AI-managed supply ships, all working together as an integrated transportation network. SpaceX built the best single spacecraft in history. China built an entire ecosystem. The question for the next decade isn't whether reusable rockets win the space race. We already know they do. The real question is whether specialized spacecraft beat multi-purpose designs when you're building permanent infrastructure in orbit and beyond. What do you think? Does China's 3-ship strategy actually beat SpaceX's approach, or is Dragon's versatility still the smarter play? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If this breakdown gave you a perspective you won't find anywhere else, hit that like button. Share this with anyone who still thinks the space race is just about rockets. And subscribe to Space Update 24 Hours because we're covering the stories that mainstream space media won't touch. New videos break down what's really happening, not just what the press releases say. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.